Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to 5 Games I've Played. This is part 22, a higher rated part than usual. Starting off with Mysterium this time. So Mysterium is by the same company that made a Dixit, and therefore we call them Dixit style cards that it has, where one person is the ghost and he's trying to tell everybody else who is the murderer, and it's a cooperative game. So you're trying, so everybody, he secretly places a character, a position, place and a murder weapon on everybody else playing the game, and he's secretly through these Dixit style cards giving you 3 cards to try and pinpoint you towards the gardener or the baker, and it happened in the living room or whatever, but it's more abstract than that, obviously. And then at the end you're trying to, you then draw up who is the actual murderer and try to get everyone to guess who the murderer is. I think it's funny enough to play, like trying to get them to guess these the places and stuff. That's a fun part of the game. You score amount of points, and then at the end you're trying to get everybody to guess the same person without talking together. My issue lies in the fact that it says cooperative, but it doesn't feel cooperative. Like, I have a couple of times guessed in the end the correct murderer, but because the most people didn't guess correctly, we didn't get it, we didn't succeed. But I'm still sitting there like, hey, I guessed it, I'm a winner, I'm cool. But then one time I was in a game where the majority guessed correctly, I guessed incorrectly, and you're sitting there like, well, hey, I lost. Like, there's no reason to celebrate, I lost. And you also have this thing where you can't communicate together at the end. So I think if you just remove that ending, and we're more like, yo, you gotta score this amount of points to get this kind of victory condition, combine the amount of points. And then you actually work together to try and get people to guess it up the way up. You can communicate as well, and you score an amount of points. Bam, you have a way better game right there. But that ending is just so annoying. Also, so shit. And I've been to ghost multiple times, and that just fucked it over. But I give it a 7 out of 10 still. There is definitely a really good game there, but it just, that ending just drags it down. Alright, next up is Shake That City. It's a Danish design. Whoop, whoop. It is one where you have your little area, I think it's 4x4, and you're trying to build up a city here, and there's a bunch of rules, right? You have this industrial complex, it can be placed next to these, it will score less points. These parks, you want to place them next to residential areas, that scores points. All these weird placement rules for them, and the way you get it out is because you have this construction, you shake it up, press the button, and then 4 squares come out, like little square things in certain colors, and those colors represent what you can take. And then the first person chooses what to take, and nobody else can take that no matter color, but everybody else then chooses a different color. And that works fine, sort of like a drafting thing. The mechanism is definitely what you are getting at. That's the fun part of it. And I'm placing these out with following the specific rules, which are quite sorry, which are a bit weird, and it's very abstract, not very thematic, but it is just the kind of game that I really like. The scoring is amazing, and your targets that you're trying to do for the scoring is amazing. So this is the kind of game that I really like, this abstract, heavy in the tactical scoring aspect. So I give it an 8 out of 10 for this one, but it might also be just because you have that big thing there. Next up is Dune Imperium Uprising. And the original Dune Imperium was in part 13 and got a 7 out of 10. Dune Imperium Uprising gets an 8 out of 10. I just think it's that smidge better. And that's because you can do more with the sort of the worker placement. And there are more restrictions to it as well. Right, in the original Dune Imperium there's like one place that has a restriction in terms of you need to be friends with the Fremen to place there. In Uprising there's way more spots that have that, and you can send out agents to sort of interact with your opponents even when it's not your turn, and they're placing down a agent out. So no, those are called agents, those are called informants, I think. I can't remember what it is. But they put out their worker, you put in like a agent, so you can interact with them in a different aspect like that. I think these aspects really just upgrade Dune Imperium Uprising for me up to that 8 out of 10, rather than Dune Imperium 7 out of 10. Unfortunately my friends disagree, so they went out and bought Dune Imperium, the regular version. But it's fine, we've played a couple times, I even won. But I definitely do prefer Uprising. I think there's aspects of more restrictions to it, so it makes it difficult. You need to focus more on that, and maybe even just say, yo, I'm just a manager that friend in this game. Really an upgrade. Next up we have some games these two games next to amazing, next to perfect, man. First off is Sky Team. So Sky Team is a 2-player cooperative game where you secretly roll some dice and you're trying to get this plane to land. So you can't communicate, one is the pilot, one is the co-pilot. And I just think it works amazingly. You have some things that you and only you can do, which means you can't interact on those, but then there are other aspects where you're interacting and it's always difficult. Like there's the one where you tilt the plane. You don't want to tilt the plane too much and it needs to be straight when it lands. Then you have also the landing gear thing, which obviously you need to activate together and you need to be within a certain amount. No, it's the movement one, right? You don't want to move too fast, you don't want to move too slow. It of course depends on the exact games, and that also could mean like you move it up or down faster or slower depending on what you need to do, right? A longer runway, you need to move a little bit faster, you need a couple of doubles. A shorter one, you need to actually end up in the red so you don't move, so you get there on time. So yeah, the base is a really good introduction to the game, but everything it comes alive in those extra airports. So you have this different challenging, making it a little bit different. But I think it's perfect. There isn't really any communicating other than the dice you play out, and you can sort of say from the start like, yo, go for like the middle dice you have on this one, or go for the highest die you have on this one, whatever. You can communicate that before rolling and then roll out, because that again you get some information, right, on like keeping the plane straight. You go for the middle die you have, the middle one, and then the person plays a 4 and it's like, that's the middle one you have? Damn, you have some high ones. What are we gonna do? But that could initiate you to go very low on your lower one, because like if that's the middle, then this is gonna be a really high one. So I play a really low one to that one. Trying to interact with each other with that one. Still remembering, yo, I need to activate landing gear, we need to clear out the planes, we need to get the brakes on, all this stuff. Just a really, really great game. 9 out of 10. I might do a full review on it at some point. I have the game. Next up is a game that I'm not going to do a full review on. It's very, very short, it's very, very simple, but it is amazing. We have joked a little bit in the group that it is Stress, the board game, also known as The Mind. Basically what it is you get an amount of card depending on what level you're at. You start at 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and then depending on the player count you either end at 8, 10 or 12. That depends on if you are 2, 3 or 4 players, or 4, 3 and 2 players, opposite direction. And it's quite simple, you just have to play them down in numerical order. There's 100 cards, 1 to 100, and you have to play them in numerical order without telling each other, right? So if I have the number 1, it's easy, I'm out. But if I have that number 13, do I dare start with it? Or am I maybe number 2? And especially bringing that 4 cards up, and it's like, yo, 66 and 43 and 22 and a 5. I mean, the 5 could be the starter, but somebody could be sitting with 3. Especially when someone is just afraid of playing, just never wants to play their cards. I've played with my mate so many times, he's just afraid to play his cards. And then when he finally plays the cards, it's like, okay, before you had a 10 you didn't dare play, now you have a 30 and you obviously don't dare play. Come on. So we call it Stress, the board game, where we are laughing throughout it. It is really, really great. You kind of, just 100 cards, man. You can't underestimate how great it is. There's of course some rules with the ninja stars and the life, if you want to take it that seriously. But we often just take the number of cards, 1 to 100, shuffle them up, deal out 1, hey we pass, deal out 2, hey we pass, deal out 3. Just going like that. Doesn't need to follow the rules. Amazing 9 out of 10 game. And that is part 22 of 5 games I've played. It has an 8.2 average, and I do believe that is the highest average of any list that I've ever done. I have all the lists right here. Yeah, 8.2. It's the highest average of all the lists I've done. Some great games on here. Most of them I'm not going to do a full review on. I'm thinking about Sky Team maybe at some point, doing a review of that one. If I get the expansion, maybe. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye!